All right, good morning, everybody. I posted the trade plan in the chat and on Discord as well. For you guys that weren't in the pre-market stream. Good morning, Yusa, Omar, Beverly, Tamer, Shima, Fred, Christopher. Good morning, Key, Boat, Mike, AT. Good morning, Morris, Newen, Leo, Techie. Good morning, eBay, DJ, Simon. Good morning, Nestor, Larry. Good morning, Denise. Good morning, Music. Good morning, Echo. Good morning to you guys listening through Discord as well. What's going on, Fernando? Appreciate all the members in here. Fernando, Simon, Techie, AT, Omar. A little bit of bearish delta here on the open. Bearish trend as well. Starting to see a bear div. The last three highs on the 1 minute. All getting bearish delta. Let's see if they want to repair that on the opening candle. So far, not looking like they want to repair it. Looking pretty weak. Looks like it's trying to give you a rollover top almost right away. Put in a weak high, then now we're trying to put in a lower high. If it maintains its lower high structure, that would be a pretty weak open. A lot of bullish delta coming in there, trying to correct that bearish trend on the pre-market. The pre-market's actually very bearish the last, like, what, 5 hours or so. Okay, there's the rollover top, almost immediately selling that lower high. That was almost too fast to even get in there, unless you had a limit order. Definitely seeing a lot of movement on the open here, very volatile. Okay, they are not holding that lower high. I'd wait for it to cool down a little bit. It's a little whipsawy right now. Keep an eye on that possible sweep. Very indecisive market so far. A lot of bullish delta coming in. Still maintaining that bullish trend that we talked about on the pre-market. Very strong node being protected on that high. But like we talked about with P-shaped profiles, they are bullish bias, so you need to be a little careful being a seller on the highs. They want to extend that upper tail. So today's extension would line up with our targets already, possibly somewhere around like 75. Yeah, definitely not seeing a rollover top. Continuing to break that high. No lower high here. Also not seeing that sweep. So it looks like that pre-market strength is continuing. Good morning, Music. Good morning, David. Good morning, Creso. Mauser, Mr. Robot, Ike, Fury. Good morning, Trevor. Appreciate you guys being here. A lot of bullish delta coming in. Definitely maintaining that pre-market trend for now. They've completely wiped out all of this bearish delta the last few hours. That P-shape imbalance giving you a lot of buy pressure here. The NASDAQ rotation, I believe, is complete. Almost. NASDAQ rotation goes into 817. We talked about on our pre-market stream, if they wanted to hold on to that value real low, they're currently rotating as a D-shaped profile. Little bit of a discrepancy between ES and NASDAQ. ES is a P-shape with a bullish bias. NASDAQ is a D-shape with a neutral bias. Okay, very quick sell pressure coming in here. A little bit of a 30-minute sweep. If it holds below 65. Very fast market we have today. Be careful trading this right now. Very fast. Good morning, OD. Good morning, Metis. Good morning, Future. You guys like to use tight stop losses? I'd be very careful trading right now. For some reason, the volatility is quite high. Not really a whole lot of news today. Not really a lack of liquidity either. Just seeing a lot of volatility, not really seeing it stick to a level. That sweep has been broken. Very indecisive. Maintain a bullish bias for now. Bullish bias on ES because of the P-shaped profile and the pre-market trend. You have a bullish bias on NASDAQ until you get to that rotation level, which TradingView is not showing for some reason. There we go. 815. Big gap up on the energy sector thanks to oil. Little gap up on real estate. Everything else is decently flat. Facebook still showing a little bit of sell pressure. Coming up on that first fib target on ES. Fib target into 70 to 72. Next target would be around the 80s. Good morning, TK. Good morning, Tim. Putting in a lower high here, showing a small bear div. It's a bear div because you are absorbing a bit of delta on that high. A lot of bearish delta coming in on NASDAQ as well. Like I said earlier, be careful trading right now. The market is extremely indecisive. Especially if you use tight stop losses. It's a very sloppy price action so far. Yeah, hopefully it calms down past like 10 o'clock. The trend is pretty stable, but the overall price action is just very sloppy. Might be a little bit weird this week towards like Friday because we have a lot of data coming out and we have a holiday on Monday. There will be no market next Monday for Labor Day. Okay, back into a 30-minute sweep here. This sweep should be stronger as it looks like we are squeezing out those buyers on the high. Typically, when you have those sweeps and you have the absorption, we talked about that, I believe. I'm not sure if I talked about it in the sweep video, but we talked about it in the order flow video. When you have that combination of patterns, it makes the sweep a lot stronger. We have the absorption on the high, then we have the sweep. So they have some contracts to squeeze out. Still protecting that 30-minute low. It's weird how volatile it is because if you look at the tape, we're not seeing that many level 2 orders. The liquidity is okay. It's not great. We are seeing a little bit of level 2, but it's not terrible. Okay, so for this 30-minute sweep, as I talked about last week, if you trade it the same way you trade like a rollover top where you have 2 to 3 exits, you typically want to have like a 1R exit for a piece of your trade, and then around a 2R exit, and then around a trail, right? Whatever the trail would be. So this one here, it's hit your 1R exit, so your 1 risk reward has been hit. So you could deleverage a little bit after that. Still have those other 2 exits if it wants to break this 30-minute low, protecting that low for now. The risk on this one would have been 4 to 5 points. So that first target would have been 4 to 5 points. Still getting a lot of bullish delta on ES. I think that's why we're so sloppy today, is we are not following each other bar by bar on ES and NASDAQ as we were last week. Last week, pretty much identical charts the entire week. And now they're kind of doing slightly different things. Their market structures are a little bit different. Low of day here on NASDAQ, not doing that on ES. Delta is much weaker on NASDAQ. They're completely opposite, actually. Somebody is buying up this dip on ES, and somebody is pushing NASDAQ down. A lot of bearish delta. If NASDAQ continues to get that kind of delta, it is very hard for ES to go up. So keep an eye on that delta. If that continues to come in, ES should be going low of day. Somebody is propping ES up. You can tell by the delta somebody's propping this up. I mean, look at the delta. If I zoom out, we were bearish pretty much the entire pre-market. And then look at the open here. It's already up 4,000. You think ES will pull NASDAQ? Yeah, it's a delta battle here. It's a battle of the whales, basically. Somebody's nuking NASDAQ delta and somebody's pumping ES delta. It'd be pretty funny if it was the same person, who knows? That backtest of VWAP not looking too good on ES for the buyers. Delta still coming in. Delta is actively rising on ES as the price is going down. It's very hard to do. Yeah, yet again, guys, be careful. ES and NASDAQ not following each other at all. Their deltas are completely opposite. Market is extremely indecisive. This is not a great day to be throwing money around. So far, you've had one good trade today, and it's this sweep right here. Everything else is pretty sloppy. You could have possibly taken that backtest of VWAP. That was very fast, though. If it breaks this 30-minute low, I would honestly probably pull your stop loss and trail the rest of it. You would not want to take a loss on this position. And because of how indecisive the market is, I could see this flipping back up very quickly. So you just want to protect yourself. First target has already been hit. Second target would be hit around basically a new low. If it hits a new low here, that would be your second target. Protecting VWAP for now. Still absorbing a little bit of bearish delta on VWAP here. They're trying to protect that 30-minute low. This is that sell pressure from Thursday. Nvidia nuking, it's down like 1 point. I wouldn't say that's nuking. I think it'll be alright. We talked about this on the pre-market stream, but keep an eye on all of those like Thursday lows, Friday lows. You have a lot of inside bars on the big names. We start losing Thursday's lows, Friday's lows, looks pretty bad. Take a look at Facebook. Facebook's already losing Friday's low. I think Facebook's the only one. Yeah, Facebook is losing Friday's low. Everything else is still kind of an inside bar. Somebody is loading up on ES Delta right now. Number-wise, it's not an insane amount of delta. It's only 5K. But relatively speaking, that's quite a lot for today. The entire pre-market was only a negative 3K pullback. Okay, looks like you might get your second target here. You could use VWAP if you're really itching to get out, but that's only about 5 points, I believe. Okay, 30-minute low finally broken. Basically anywhere in this breakout would be a decent second target. And then you're trailing the rest. All right, your second target's being hit. Anywhere down here is a good 2R. Next target would just be a trail. And obviously you would not take a loss on your remaining position. Be careful holding that trail, value real low, and that trend line. Already providing a lot of buy pressure. It should be a very strong trail, though, if it does break that trend. It should break down to the overnight low pretty easily. Nearly identical to the price action that we were seeing on Friday. That was an overnight high sweep as well, so one of our old trades, not just the regular sweep. It's the same exact level. It's just a different way of saying it. Because that is the overnight high right there. If you guys are enjoying the stream, hit that like button. Let's see if we can break 100 again today. You guys have been awesome recently. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you didn't catch that 30-minute sweep trade, there's not really another trade right now. The market is very sloppy. That's pretty much the only one it's given you. You might have a rotation trade on NASDAQ. Let me see. So NASDAQ is hitting that overnight low level we talked about on the pre-market stream. You would have to recover like 742 to start that rotation. It's actually in a pretty nasty downtrend right now. 30-minute highs being protected. They might want to look for that value retrace of Friday. Okay, so this 30-minute trade, you hit your first target right around here. And then second target on the breakout. And now you're just trailing the rest. Yeah, normally I manually trail, yeah. I don't set it like in the system. A lot of platforms, I believe Addis and Tradeovate, and NinjaTrader, like all the main ones, they all have like automatic trails, like if you want to trail by a certain amount of points. I just trail manually. I just watch certain levels and be sure to be ready to close. If I'm like stepping away from the PC and I still want to trail, I'll just put it in like as a limit, or I'll trail it, but usually just a limit. Yeah, so this is a sweep, but this is one of those confusing ones that I talked about last week. I didn't even want to cover this because I didn't want to confuse you guys. This is one of those sweeps that it's inside of an already sweeping trade. So you're already in a sweep trade here. So then you started to sweep the low here. So if you missed the bearish sweep, you could take this as a bullish sweep. But you have to understand that you're taking a bullish sweep while you're kind of technically in a bearish trade. So it's just a little sloppy. Long story short, it's just not the greatest position. It's a little sloppy. As we're currently seeing, you can see the sell pressure is still there. That's why it's very important to understand where your trades, where your setups, I guess you would say, should be out of the trade. So like even if we're not in this bearish sweeping trade, you need to understand where would it be closing. Because that gives you an indicator. By the way, this is a big sell-off here, so keep an eye on your trail. That would give you a good indicator of when the trend is starting to reverse. If you have a very bearish trade setup and it's starting to fail, that must mean that it's slightly bullish or it's starting to become a little bullish, right? Like let's say we're trailing the 24 EMA and we're taking shorts off the 24 EMA and it's just nuking the entire day. And then it starts to kill that trade. It starts to be bullish. That's because it's breaking that structure, right? So you need to understand where your trades are getting out of their positions, because that will help you understand who's in control. Still a very indecisive market. It's because two things. ES and NASDAQ are not following each other. And somebody is, I don't like this word, but somebody is manipulating the delta on ES. Somebody is playing around with the ES delta. This is not the proper delta we should be seeing. How many people in here were able to catch that bearish sweep? Are you guys starting to see these without me just constantly going over them? Are you guys getting better at kind of finding them on your own? That one was a little fast, I will say. You would have had to be ready to enter that one. So a couple of you guys caught it, that's good. Hey, 2 micros is still making money. Yeah, I think the volatility is not as bad as it was like that couple of weeks that we had. So if you did lower your size back when the volatility was crazy, you can begin to increase your size back to what it was. Just be careful if you guys are trading on Apex. They don't like you making big changes to your size. You got filled at 66? Yeah, that's a good entry. Yeah, so you kind of like front ran it a little bit. Yeah, I showed you guys, I think last week we had a sweep that I front ran as well. I don't recommend front running them very often. What I will say is if it gives you a really good stop loss, like let's say right now we have like a strong absorption here, and if we entered on the actual sweeping level, that would give us about a 5-point stop, so that's perfectly okay. But if you're not okay with a 5-point stop, if you want it to be like maybe 4 to 3 points, you could have front ran that and then put your stop above that high because it gave you a big absorption. So I'll say if you are front running the sweep, only do it if it gives you a really good node to protect you. So in this case, it did. It gave you that absorption node to protect your stop loss. But like, let's say this entire upper wick is very low delta, and there's not really a node to protect you. If you front run that, you can easily be stopped out because there is nothing stopping them from pushing it back up. So if you do front run, just make sure you have something protecting you. And what I mean by front run is instead of taking it when it starts to physically sweep that level, when it goes back below, in this case, 64.75, you would take it a little bit higher. Which most of the time is a little dangerous, because you're not actually sweeping, right? Hey, Chris, you said I was confused on the language when I heard breakout. I was thinking positive versus negative, like breakdown. I noticed the language is the same. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Yep. So a breakout is not always bullish. A breakout is just breaking out of whatever that structure is. So like you could say, we're breaking out of the range bearishly, right? It's just breaking away from that structure. I'm sure some streamers might say, or like some finance people might say like break down, break out to differentiate. I don't do that. I just say breakout. A breakout for me is just what I just said, breaking away from a major level. So if there's like a major high and you're constantly hitting it and then you break out of it, you start to push above it, that's a breakout. If there's a major low and you keep bouncing off of it, but then you break below it, that's a breakout, right? So a sweep is the opposite of a breakout because the breakout buyers are buying here when you break that high. The sweep traders are selling here because the breakout is failing. So breakout buyers are here, buying the break of the level. The sweep traders, keep an eye on your trail, a lot of sell pressure coming in. The sweep traders are here. They're selling the failure of the breakout traders. The breakout traders are not doing a good job, so the sweep traders are taking over. Okay, so at this point, your first target and second target are definitely hit. And now you're just looking for your trail. The trail is going to be a little hard on this one because it's so whipsawy. They're not really respecting these levels. They're just kind of going back and forth. Right now, I'd say your trail is very aggressive trail at 57. Conservative trail probably around 60. Yeah, I'm not sure, Simon, which level exactly you're talking about. There's a lot of delta on the high there. So if you go back to the stream, I was talking about how this sweep should have been stronger because it had absorption. So we had a couple of weird sweeps on that opening candle. It tried to sweep like up and down a few times, but it didn't really have any absorption, didn't really have any delta. This time it put in an absorption node, then swept. Those are much better. So then you had a really nice move there. Are we likely to test the node at 69? There's no reason to. There's no magnet like pulling us up there. There's no like poor high or anything like that. Nice trade, yeah. These are working out, man. These sweep trades, these rollover tops. I'm telling you guys, right now you only need like 2 setups. I mean, realistically, you could even trade one of those setups. Okay, so here's the problem with Nasdaq that we talked about on the pre-market. It wanted to fill in that kind of lower value on Friday. So now we're losing that. So next target on Nasdaq would be around 542 or Friday's low around 591. Breaking the pre-market trend. So this is what I talked about earlier, that this trail could be very profitable on ES because this lower tail is extremely weak. So as long as they don't have that delta buyer propping it up, it should be able to get the overnight low here. Okay, let's see here. Aggressive trail would be probably 54. Conservative trail probably still around like 60, which is very conservative. That's like 12 points. There's not a good trail on this move because it's just so indecisive, I guess you'd say indecisive. It's very whipsawy. Just keeps whipping back and forth. I don't really know a better word for it. Just undecided. No, not really. I don't care about it breaking the 0 line, the cumulative delta. The only time I really look at the number is if I'm trying to calculate how much delta is being absorbed or how much delta is being squeezed. Or at the end of the day, when we're looking at what it's closing at. But other than that, I don't really care about the number. You hit that for 17 points. Awesome, man. That's a big one. Yeah, right now the normal entry is like, what, 15? Yeah, the normal entry is about 17 points maximum. That's what it gave you. So what I'm going to be doing this week, differently than what I did last week with these sweeping trades, because we talked about last week how I typically have like 3 exits, right? One sec, let me ban this guy. So last week I was talking about how I had multiple exits on the rollover top and the sweeping trades. I'm going to be sizing them a little bit differently this week. So I'm going to be doing 25%, 50%, 25% on the 3 exits. Because it's been hitting the second and third exits so often, I want to be a little bit heavier on those. So first exit, 25%. Second exit, 50%. And then remaining 25% on the trail. But all that's just personal preference, really. You guys can do whatever you want. I was just telling you. Okay, at this point, because you generated such a strong node here, you could pull down your conservative trail above that node. So a good trail in that 54 area, which is still about an 8-point trail, so it's not bad. Where was that exact level? The exact level is 64.75. Yeah, so right there. This is just showing you the maximum of where that trade was. I think technically it should be right there. Has that already been going for 35 minutes? I guess it has. It was a pretty fast 35 minutes. How's that delta calculating? Is that going from bar to bar? Let me see. Yeah, okay. All right, so right now you're just playing the waiting game, really. The trail is sitting around 53. You're just waiting for another breakdown to lower your trail. Or if it pops up, you're just going to get out. Momentum has waterfalled into the 30-minute on the Momo. This is getting pretty strong. Has it waterfalled in the 1 hour? It has not. The 1 hour trend is still stable. If you lose the 1 hour trend, it gets pretty damn bearish. You could lose another 20 to 30 points pretty easily on the 1 hour. Okay, nice little push down here. Trail is still holding. Here's that overnight low coming up. Next target at 40. If you don't want to trail this out and you're just really ready to get out of your position, you could look for an exit around that overnight low. Around 40. Realistically, the long term, or long term as in the daily, not super long term, would be the value low of Friday. They're looking for that value rotation after a failed attempt to break value. Tried to find higher value, they did not like it, which makes you return to old value. This is not my actual P&L, guys. I'm just showing the maximum on this trade per contract. So right now, that trade has been active for 40 minutes. 40 bars, obviously, because it's a 1 minute chart. And that's the P&L like for an ES contract. Seems like that that person that was manipulating the delta is no longer there. If you guys are enjoying the stream, hit that like button. We need 25 more likes to break 100. Keep an eye on this 30-minute close. If it stays down here, it will create single prints going back into 80, or sorry, 55. Who's still holding a runner on this? It's kind of a wide trail. It's about a 10-point trail. Is my chat frozen or are you guys all sleeping? Oof, look at the big 8 here. Big 8 on the 30-minute, not looking too good. Big drop in Tesla, big drop in Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia. I was joking, but I think my chat actually is frozen. Sorry if you guys are posting anything. I can't see it. No, my chat was completely frozen. Sorry about that, guys. I did not see any of your messages for the past, like, 10 minutes. Alright, sorry, let me catch up on chat here. I'm not sure why it was frozen. Let me see here. Yeah, CA. So if you make 3,000, well, no, if you make 3,000 in profit before losing 2,500, you're fine. You've already hit the goal. Just stop trading at that point. But if you make like 1,000, you take that 5,100, or sorry, 51,000. That's your top balance, right? And then 2,500 subtracted from that, that is your trailing drawdown. But no, if you make $3,000 first, then you're done. Yeah, sorry guys, I missed a lot of messages here. My bad. Thought you guys were all sleeping. Alan, I don't use the 30-minute sweep on any other lower time frames. I mainly just watch on the 30-minute. What you can do is use the 30-minute level. So like you find the 30-minute level, you say, okay, the sweep level is 65. Then you can go down to lower time frames to see how you're trading around that level. Like how much bearish delta are you getting on these smaller candles? What are your candle closes looking like on those smaller time frames? But no, overall you want to be using the 30-minute levels. You don't have to use the 30-minute closes, and I've actually even said recently that you can't really use the 30-minute closes right now because the market volatility is so high. When the market volatility is very low, you can wait for the 30-minute closes to confirm the sweep. You can't do that right now. So if you're using closes, then yes, you might want to use the 5-minute or the 15-minute. But for the levels, you want to be using the 30-minute levels. I mean, in hindsight, you could have used this 30-minute close. It's still nuked quite a bit. But most of the time, it's going to be a little late. But yeah, as long as you're using the 30-minute levels, you can trade it on smaller time frames. No, Newen, I don't use Bookmap. I don't use level 2 depth of market stuff. I don't find it helpful for my style of trading. Yes, English. Check out my order flow playlist. I have an entire playlist that goes over it. Anybody that's new in here, if you guys are new to my channel, pretty much anything that I bring up on stream, I have videos for. I've been doing this for a very long time on YouTube. So check out my playlist. I've got them organized in how to trade, volume profile, order flow, playbook. So just take a look around. There are a ton of videos to learn from. I don't mind answering small questions on stream here and there, but I can't go over the entire strategy every single stream. It just gets a little redundant for people that are here every day. And it just takes up a lot of my time, and I'm trying to pay attention and trade, right? So I can give you guys answers here and there, but I can't cover everything. Some of those videos are an hour long, 30, 45 minutes long, so to cover that in like a 1-sentence, 2-sentence answer is pretty difficult. But yeah, I don't mind answering small questions here and there if you guys have any questions. Right now, there are a couple videos you need to watch to catch up. If you guys just started tuning in, check out my most recent videos. The how to trade sweeps, the how to trade the 8 and 24, and then watch my most recent order flow videos on Addis. I have a 3-part series on Addis that I just released a few weeks ago. Watch those 5 videos, and you'll be caught up to most of the stuff that we're doing right this moment. You still have a lot to catch up on after that, but that will get you up to speed for most of it. Why did I change the 5-minute delta to 30-minute? This chart here, we were finding a lot more success in the 30-minute. The 5-minute was just a little too indecisive, a little too back and forth with the volatility. The volatility was too high for the 5-minute, basically. And as you guys have seen just the last few weeks alone, these 30-minute trades are very accurate. I mean, we've been calling like damn near literal tops for the past few weeks. So hopefully you guys have been tuning in. All right, this trade has been active for 52 minutes. The trail has not been taken out. At this point, you could keep the trail where it is. It hasn't really established a major level below that. If you're really itching to get out, you could actually exit on the way down here. Here's the target. You have the overnight low target about to be hit. So if you're really ready to close this trade, you could close it here. Or you can continue to trail, possibly for 26. And yeah, what I normally say is when I'm teaching, when I do the teaching videos, I speak pretty slowly. So if you want to save time, you could raise it up to like 1.25, 1.5 speed. I know some of those videos are, the older videos are a lot longer. My newer videos, I try to keep around 30 minutes or less. The older videos, I just did not care. I was talking for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But yeah, I definitely try to keep them shorter nowadays. Hey, Fred, what time are you talking about? If you're talking about this right here, this would not be a rollover top because you're on a bottom. Rollover tops are when you have an impulse up. So if you have an impulse up and then you put in that pattern, then you possibly have a rollover top. But not during an impulse down. Yeah, modern, that's usually the way to go. Most teaching videos, people speak a lot slower. Okay, at this point, this trail is very wide, so I would probably bring it above this 30-minute candle, or if you really want to get out, above this node right here. So maybe 45 or 49. I wish it said points here instead of ticks, but I guess you could just divide that by 4. It's not a big deal. Yeah, currently that trade, maximum potential. Obviously, you're not going to catch this on every trade. Maximum potential is 103 ticks right now, so really big trade. It's a long trade, too. 55 minutes. It doesn't feel like this has been an hour, but it's moving pretty quickly. By the way, you put in a couple of single prints. They might try to repair those before the day's over. Very bottom heavy candle here, so right now that's pretty bearish, but if they start to bounce it, that means they absorbed that delta there. We need a couple more likes to get over 100. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. How have you guys been liking the pre-market streams, by the way? Do you guys like the format of the pre-market stream? Do you think I should change it a little bit? We're going to be pulling back on how much information we dump on the summary of markets because we're doing the daily trade plans on the pre-market streams now. I'd say 5 trade plans is better than 1. Okay, so now we have a very strong node we can use as a trail, so you could pull this above this node. This is what I was saying earlier. I said that we were losing momentum all the way down to the 30-minute, sorry, all the way up to the 30-minute. The 1 hour has not waterfalled yet. This is the 1 hour waterfall. So now the 1 hour is losing momentum. And here's that target that we talked about. It could drop 20 to 30 points. There it is. So next level is 26. And then it really needs to bounce at 26 or it's getting pretty dangerous. Here's that target on NASDAQ. If you guys followed the trade plan in the morning, here is that 542. That is all of our targets hit on the morning trade plan. I would extend that down to 383 if it continues. Here's that 26 target coming up after that. 97 probably. Okay, not finding a lot of sell pressure on this lower wick here. Keep it on that 30-minute close. Might be finding buy pressure trying to push back into those single prints. 5-minute momentum is bottomed out on the Momo. 1 minute bottomed out as well. 15 and 30 minutes still have room to fall, and so does the 1 hour. 1 hour pivot here at 35. Here's what I normally do. I'll show you. This is on my other monitor, so you guys can't see this all the time. Let me see. I've got so many damn charts now. So on my other monitor, I have This is the 2 minutes. This is the 3 minutes. This is the 5 minute. So I'm watching, like for these rollover trades, you want to watch them kind of roll. We call it the waterfall. They're kind of rolling and waterfalling into these other signals, right? So you have the 1 minute here, then it goes into a 2, then it goes into a 3, then it goes into a 5. And they're all holding sell signals, right? So the other thing that I do is I go over to this chart here, and this is my my OTS and Momo chart. And I typically have this in a 4-way chart, kind of like this. But I'll have the 80 EMA is the blue line, teal line, I guess you would say. The 24 EMA is the orange line. Then I have the Momo down here, and then I have the OTS pivots, right? So normally what I'll do is I'll just watch the time frames. I'll kind of click through them, and I'll just see where the momentum is. So like right now, the 1 minute momentum's kind of bottomed out, which you can see we're bottoming right there. So I'll go to the 5 minute. I'll say, okay, 5 minute also kind of bottomed out. Once again, you can see that buy pressure coming in right there. Then I'll just cycle through them, right? I'll just keep doing it. So 15 minutes still has room to fall. 30 minutes still has room to fall. And this is the 1 hour. So earlier I was saying that the 5 minute momentum was lost. So you can see the momentum started getting very bearish on the Momo. And then you go to the 15, you lose that momentum, starts getting pretty bearish. 30 minute loses that momentum, starts getting pretty bearish. And I was talking about how the 1 hour still had room because you haven't lost it yet. That's this candle right here. So obviously this is a 1 hour chart, so it's a little bit laggy. But if this continues on the 1 hour, that momentum is going to be completely falling. Right. That's how I use these other indicators, just to kind of trail my trades and see what's going on. Just quickly flipping through the time frames and seeing how each time frame is holding up. All right, that's a hell of a maximum potential there. So maximum potential on one ES contract, 1700. Obviously, one micro would be 1/10 of that. That's a very big trade. Still not seeing a lot of seller delta on the low there. Seems like they're trying to protect that 30-minute close. How long has this trade been active? This trade has been active for over an hour, 66 minutes. On NASDAQ? Yeah, let me see NASDAQ. So NASDAQ was a different trade, unfortunately. So you can't calculate it the same exact way because it didn't have that sweep. But if I take the same, like if you would have taken it on NASDAQ, even though the trade was on ES, let me see here. When did the trade start? It started around 940 to 941. It would have been right around like this candle here. So that's what NASDAQ would look like. That's obviously maximum potential, right? You don't want to think that you're going to get that on every trade. The reason stuff like this is good to keep track of is you need to understand, are you cutting your trades too early? Like, should you be going for more? Like, if you keep seeing the sweep trade give you 30 points on average and you're closing it at 5 points, you probably need to extend your targets, which is what I talked about earlier. I was saying how I'm changing my weighting. My first exit is going to be the lowest weighting now. Okay, your trails are going to start getting hit here. As I said, the momentum was bottomed out on the 1 minute, bottomed out on the 5 minute. This doesn't mean the trend is completely over. It's just cooling off. But that is a 10-point trail for the most part. If it can stay below 40 to 42, it still looks pretty bearish. But all in all, that's a like 35-point trade, so I wouldn't be worried about getting trailed out. Even if you get trailed out, you're looking at 25 points. The main target was that overnight low. You could say 26 would be a good target as well. Nearly identical to yesterday, Friday. You had a very strong pre-market trend, tried to break out. Obviously, the breakout on Friday was much stronger. Tried to break out, swept, nuked. The same thing here. Very strong pre-market trend, tried to break out, swept, nuked. The only difference is, like I said, that breakout was much stronger. The market structure is the same. Yeah, Derek, that's what I recommend. I recommend if you're trading one ES contract, it's better to break it up into micros. So you can have multiple exits. Don't do multiple entries if you're trading on Apex. They don't like that. They don't like multiple entries, especially if you're entering as a dollar cost average. Like if you're entering as you're losing the trade, don't do that. But if you break it up into micros, you can take multiple exits. Now, what I will say is if you get to the point where you're trading like 30 micros instead of trading like 3 big contracts, you don't want to do that. Because the commissions are so much higher. So the only time I would recommend breaking it up into micros is if it's less than like 2 big contracts. Once you get higher than 2 big contracts, you can take multiple exits just with the big contracts, so there's no point in trading the micros. But yeah, as long as you're below like 20 micros, I mean, even 20 is still a lot. But yeah, if you want 3 exits, then you can't trade 2 bigs. You see what I'm saying? So if you want 3 exits, you can trade 3 bigs. Don't trade 30 micros. But most people don't trade 3 bigs. That is a lot of size. Yeah, the commission difference is about a 3 to 1, I believe. On the micros, you're paying a lot more on the micros. But as long as you're keeping it like under 20, and you're not like trading 100 times a day, it's not going to kill you. Micro scalping with a ton of micros, like taking very small trades in and out, in and out, in and out, with micro contracts, the commissions will eat you up. Not usually, Derek. On my Apex accounts, I don't usually add to losers at all. Very rarely will I do it on my main account either. I'm just not a type of trader that likes adding to losers. I used to have setups, you guys probably remember if you were in here like a year or 2 ago. We used to have setups where we would take multiple entries. Those setups don't really work that much right now. When volatility is very high, those setups aren't working as well. The thing about the two main setups that we're trading right now, we're trading the rollover tops and the sweeps. Neither one of those setups really needs you to enter again. If it's going against you on those setups, that trade is pretty much dead. It's very rare for those setups to be going against you and hitting your relatively where your stop loss is, and then it goes in your favor. It's pretty rare. We did have that happen one time last week. If you guys remember that one trade that I took, there was that block trade that came in, and it went against our trade, and then it completely flipped. That was like the only time last week that happened. Every other time, the trade was either instantly killed or it worked. There was no like, oh, I got stopped out, but it still went my way. That's the beautiful thing about these setups, especially the rollover top. You know pretty much right away if that's going to completely kill the trend or your trade's dead. It's a very fast setup. I mean, I say that, and we're sitting here in a hour-long trade, 70-minute trade. But you don't have to be holding 70 minutes later. It gave you plenty of exits. If you're gonna add to winners instead, yeah, it's called pyramiding. You can like pyramid into winners, but I don't typically do it. I think for the most part, you should just have your trades set a certain size and just trade that size. What a lot of people do outside of funding programs, because funding programs don't like you doing this, not just Apex, just funding programs in general. They don't like you changing your size very often, right? What some people will do with their like actual accounts is they'll have like one or two setups that are their absolute favorite setups, and they'll take larger size on those. And then their other setups are just normal setups. They'll take normal size or smaller size. By the way, I appreciate you guys hitting over 100 likes. Thank you guys. It does help a lot on YouTube. I don't have any more teaching videos planned for this week. I am going to release an NVIDIA video probably today or tomorrow, going over their earnings and ways that you could play it. But yeah, that's all I have planned for this week. If I get any ideas, we'll probably release something next weekend, possibly. Trail is still holding. As long as it holds below like 42 to 45-ish, the trail is still okay. That is a very wide trail. That'd be about a 10 to 15 point trail. Keep an eye on the 24 EMA on the 1 minute here. which is also the ADMA on the 5-minute. What's funny is this entire move down, according to this this ruler thing on Addis, we've only lost basically no delta because of the pump on delta on the way up. We've lost nearly 5,000 delta on NQ. They're protecting the 30-minute close. The 30-minute close is going to generate a few single prints unless they push it back up. And we have single prints on the B session as well. Very often, we are seeing those single prints on the B session. I feel like that's probably the #1 session we're seeing singles on. That is the first session of the day that can technically make single prints, which is probably why it's so common. You cannot have single prints on A because there is no other TPO, right? Unless you're using like pre-market. This is why you need to watch those Momo charts that I was showing you guys earlier. If you guys are holding that trail and you're like really itching to get out of the trade, when you bottom out on momentum like that, it's usually a good place to look to exit. We're bottomed out on the 1 and 5 minute, causing quite a bounce here. If you were exiting aggressively instead of trailing by 10 points, it saved you that 10-point bounce. You could have maybe exited around like 35. Okay, new 30-minute candle. They protected nearly every single print. There's one remaining, which is right into the trail. So be careful. It might tap this level and then sell if it wants to trade that single print. Might be a little bit safer with your trail at 45. We'll see what it does here. There's a little bit of a bearish cluster right here. Yeah, JC, there's many ways to get the Momo. If you're in Discord, you get access to everything. If you're using our Apex partnership, you get access to the Momo as well. You can get it separately on our website as well. Our Apex partnership, as long as you guys are using our code, you get access to the Momo, the trading suite, and the bots as well. Which, by the way, if you guys email me about that, just make sure to give me your TradingView username. Here's my contact email. Wish I could anchor this tool, it'd be a lot easier. It looks like a bear flag for now. Not really seeing a ton of buy pressure just yet. It's kind of just cooling off. If it does hold back above 43, it will start to look like a retrace. That 1 hour pivot holding us up at 35. Yeah, Sam, did you post something? I didn't see anything. I didn't see if you posted a question or something. Sorry guys, I'm not talking as much right now. I'm just letting this trade play out. I don't want to overanalyze. Yeah, Sam, most of the stuff I read in chat, I don't actually read out loud unless it's like a question or something that I need to cover. If I don't read your guys' message out loud, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't read it out loud. Sometimes I'm a little ADD and I respond to you guys in my head and I forget to actually respond and actually respond, you know what I mean? Okay, still looking like a bear flag. It looks like we had the right idea to let that go to 45. If you kept the trail around 42, it was dangerous because of that single print. So now you can put it back. You just didn't want it to be there with that single print. And if you got trailed out there, not a big deal. That's like, what, 25 points? Chris, I've done things a little bit differently across the years of streaming. So we used to like live trade. Just I would just show my account back in the day, like on crypto, and we'd have like small account challenges where I would just build up accounts and stuff like that. Um, we used to show our trades like when we were trading like options and stocks and stuff in Discord. I would post me and JMA and a few other people would post like trade alerts and stuff like that. But yeah, we've kind of gotten away from that. I think the way that I do it currently is the best way that we've ever done it on stream. I think this format is the best. Just kind of doing the commentary on the analysis and every now and then showing trades just to cover the the entries and exits that I look for. I don't want to create a community of people that are just sitting at their desk waiting for me to enter a trade and then just following me blindly. It's just not what I look for. I also think spoon feeding is just not fair to people that have put thousands of hours, hundreds of hours into learning something. I think also the way that I do things is great for like if I go on vacation or just something happens, I can't stream. You guys still know what to do, right? You guys know what to look for. You guys know how to manage the day the same way that I do. You're not just relying on me heavily. I teach you guys the same way that I would teach my friends, my family. I wouldn't spoon feed them either. Kevin, this is still that same trade. This trade has been going on for an hour and a half. If it hits that 43 level, then it would probably be dead. Honestly, you could kill at any point during this accumulation. The trade's kind of dead already. It's already given 135 ticks. You don't get one, Devi. That's what I was just talking about. I don't show my trades that are actual live trades on stream. I give you my analysis and what I'm looking for to enter a trade, how I'm looking to exit trades, stop losses, all that stuff. You basically get everything except for just my actual trades. Every now and then I will screenshot the trade. I'm trading on an iPad right now, so my trading terminal is my iPad. Every now and then I'll screenshot it from my iPad. I'll post it in Discord. We'll take a look at it. But I don't want to continuously do that very often. I don't want you guys to think that's like the norm. And I'm going to do that every single trade. I covered like 3 or 4 trades last week. I don't remember how many we covered. I think it was like 3 minimum. It might have been 4. And you guys can see just from the ones that I show you, I trade exactly how I'm talking to you on stream. Like when I tell you guys, hey, this is a good exit here. Hey, this is a good exit here. And then I show you my trades, I'm literally exiting most of the time where I'm telling you guys, so. Yeah, all in all, I think the way that I stream will never have like thousands of viewers, I don't think. Because I think that channels that get thousands of viewers usually, they're those spoon feeding, kind of in your face, showing P&L, trading on the beach, all that weird stuff, you know what I mean? This stream is more of a hanging out, doing analysis, giving commentary. We aim for a much more mature audience. Usually, most of our viewers are a lot older because of that. You're not going to get the TikTok brain rot style content here. Hey, Techie, have a good day, man. Like I said, I appreciate you guys all hanging out. I know the way that I stream is probably boring for a lot of people. So I'm glad you guys find this helpful or entertaining. Hopefully you guys are making money at the same time. Yeah, music. Unfortunately, today was one of those days where you needed to catch the trade pretty much right at the open, right around that, what, I think it was like 9:50, first 30 minutes. You haven't really had any other trades. If you weren't holding that trade, you haven't really had any other ones. You could have taken like simple, like trailing trades, like you could have taken the 24 EMA pullbacks, stuff like that, little scalps here and there. But as far as our really big trades that we look for, you've only had one today. It's still open. I mean, it's been almost 2 hours. I mean, the majority of the trade is closed. You're only holding like maybe 30%, maybe 25. But yeah, it is still open. Yeah, exactly, Robert. I agree. I agree. I think if you're trading properly, you should be bored out of your mind most of the time. If you're not super bored, you're usually getting emotional. You know what I mean? Being bored usually means you're not being emotional. You don't want to be bored to the point where you're taking trades out of boredom, because that definitely happens. But like right now, this trade is boring. This is extremely boring. We've done nothing for like 2 hours, pretty much. But it makes money, right? So who cares? It's like dividend payments, right? There's nothing exciting about dividends. There's nothing exciting about leaving your money in bonds and making 5% a year. But it makes money. So who cares? You don't have to trade the exciting stuff to make money. You don't have to trade news. You don't have to trade earnings. Yeah, calm, probably a better word than boring, yeah. I mean, like I say, when you're like holding a trade like this, or let's say you're trading in the afternoon, it's a really slow day. You usually want to be doing something else, right? You don't want to be staring at the chart and monitoring every single candle. So like in the afternoon, I'm usually doing work. I'm like working on stuff in the background, maybe videos, whatever it may be. Um, and I'm watching videos, something. You know what I mean? Do something to keep you active so that you're not just over analyzing everything. You definitely want to be paying attention at certain times of day. Like you don't want to be doing that from 9:30 to 11:30. Like this is usually the time you want to pay absolute attention. But during those slow times of days, like lunchtime, going into like 2 o'clock, you want to keep your brain active. You don't want to take trades out of boredom. Yeah, Chris, and I completely understand that. I've gotten that a lot on stream. I think we've talked about that quite a bit on stream where I don't trade a lot, right? If you guys follow my techniques, if you follow my setups, you're maybe trading 2 to 3 times a day, tops. Um, you might have those certain days where the 30-minute sweeps happen. They give you like those 5 point trades quite often, but they don't give you the really big trades. So maybe you'll take a couple more trades if that happens. But if you're looking for these really big trades, I think my average trade time, I'd have to check my account. Let me check real quick. But my average trade time for the last few months has been close to an hour. Let me see what my average trade time is here. That's actually not that long. It's 20 to 4. So my longest trade is actually this one. Yeah. So before this, my longest trade was 41 minutes. And my average trade time is about 21 minutes. So it's a lot shorter than I thought. Last month, I think it was 45 minutes. Let me see. Yeah, last month I was around 45 minutes. So yeah, if you're used to taking trades like constantly, you're trading like 10, 20 times a day, it's hard to rewire your brain to look for setups like mine. I think a lot of people would do better with setups like mine, to be honest. I think if you're struggling, it's probably because you're overtrading. That's usually a number one cause of losing, is overtrading, being glued to that 1 minute chart, thinking you have to be in a trade at all times, stuff like that. We have so many trades where I tell you guys it's a one and done, right? It's a one and done. Like this is a one and done trade right here. Like once this trade is closed, you really don't have to trade for the rest of the day. There's really no reason. If you traded this trade properly, you don't need to trade for the rest of the day. Do I have any time of day alert time zones? You mean like when to pay attention? I think obviously 9:30 to 11:30, that kind of London overlap with the US market. That's like maximum attention. And then around 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you have a lot of macro stuff happening. 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you have a lot of bond stuff happening, T-bills, a lot of Fed stuff. And then you have obviously power hour. So those are the 3 times a day you really want to pay attention. 9:30 to 11:30, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and then 3:30 to 4. But realistically, not even 3 to 4. It's like 3:30 to 4, like the last 30 to 15 minutes. But yeah, you really got to watch out for those macro headlines around that 1 to 2 o'clock, because that's when people kind of fall asleep. That's about the time of day where you're bored out of your mind, the market is not really moving, and then all of a sudden it will go crazy because of those reverse repos, those bond auctions, Fed announcements, all that stuff, right? So a lot of people get caught up in that time of day because they're completely sleeping. Your trail is still not being hit, guys. If you, I don't expect a lot of people in here to still be holding this trade, but your trail is still not hit. You could lower it below this node here, or above this node, I mean, if you want to lower it to 41. Usually I don't like lowering trails unless you're breaking structure. So like you normally want to break this low before you lower your trail. If you were trailing on NASDAQ, you're most likely hit. That's a really nasty pullback on NASDAQ. If you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Our pre-market stream starts at 8:30, and then our normal stream starts at 9:30 Eastern. If you guys are brand new to my content, be sure to check out my playlist. I have dozens and dozens of videos going over all the concepts we talk about on stream. If you want to catch up, if you're completely new and you want to catch up as quickly as possible, watch those most recent videos I put out. The how to trade sweeps, the how to trade the 24 and ADMA, and the 3 Addis order flow videos. Those will catch you up pretty quickly. You definitely need to understand volume profile to understand a lot of the stuff that I talk about. So when you have time, check those videos out as well. Looks like that guy's coming back who's loading up on that bullish delta. We're actually up 2,000 delta since that sell-off. I'm going to end this one on NASDAQ because that trade would be dead at this point. So look at that, I'll show you over here. Look at that ADMA on the 5-minute, doing a very good job holding you down here. So this is that relief that we were talking about. You were bottomed out on momentum on the 5-minute. You were also bottomed out on the 1-minute here. So we needed a little bit of that relief bounce. You still have a little bit of room to fall on the higher time frames. Still looking for 26 if it continues. Derek, the entry would have been around 939 to 940. That's the proper entry. A little bit earlier would have been a bit of a front run, which is not terrible in that case because there was absorption. But when it actually started to re-lose that level, it was around that 940. Looks like we might be ready for another leg down. Let's see if it can get some more sell pressure here. The next leg down is looking for 26. So if you want to exit on the way down and not exit on a trail, you're looking for that. Pretty much any breakdown. Any breakdown here is your exit. And that would finish the retrace of Friday. and then staying below that level, very weak, into 97. That would also complete our bearish trade plan. You gotta watch that pre-market trend. That pre-market trend completely got taken out. Same thing that happened on Friday. Tune into our pre-market streams. We do a lot of analysis on what to look out for in the morning. They are trying to sweep these 30-minute lows. The reason I don't like this is because with this strong of a downtrend, if you want to take a 30-minute sweep like that, you typically want that sweep to be kind of like a liquidation move. So if they did shoot down here, and then they bounced, and they caused that sweep, that'd be a pretty strong sweep that you probably could take as a buy. But taking these very small sweeps like this, without actually seeing that stop hunt, I don't know if I trust that. But that's up to the user, right? If you guys like that 30-minute sweep, you can see it's already up a few points. A little dangerous in my eyes. I would much rather see a liquidation move. What does a liquidation move look like? Pretty much like this candle, the 10:30 candle. Or the 10 o'clock candle. Just a very strong, fast moves down with large delta clusters. So you want to see a lot of delta spiking as you're breaking lows. In this case, obviously lows. And then for the liquidation sweep, that would be the same thing. You'd see a strong move down, very large delta clusters, but then it comes back. So then it would retrace back into these old levels. So what I'd be looking for here is a breakdown, possibly to 26, maybe where that level is. I don't know if it will respect that level to the absolute point, so maybe it goes through it by a few points. It is a pretty big node. So like this node right here. So you could see like a strong wick down and then come back. That'd be a pretty decent move. I wouldn't mind being a buyer there. I mean, you don't really need to be a buyer. Like I said, that's a one and done trade if you caught that trade. There's no need to continue to trade. Especially at lunchtime. But yeah, that would be a nice move. I'll give it a few more minutes to see if we can catch it on stream. But it's getting a little slow here, so we'll see what it does. At this point, if you really wanted to get out of the trade, you could just bring your trail down to the high at 37. The 30-minute high. It's either that or maybe like 39-ish, 40. This trade has been going on for nearly 2 hours. I mean, realistically, the bulk of the trade was out in the first, 30 minutes? The trail has been going on for about an hour and a half. You had literally, like, basically no drawdown in this trade. Even if you entered late, you pretty much had no drawdown. That's the good thing about these rollover tops and these like 30-minute sweeps that happen really early in the day, especially the bearish ones. When they work, you basically have no danger. There's like no drawdown. It's not one of those trades that just chops around your open for a long time and then eventually works. It's either going to stop you out immediately or you're going to have zero drawdown. I'm curious, is anybody in here still holding the runner? I know it's been 2 hours. I wouldn't expect a lot of people in here to still be holding. You'd have to be extremely patient. It gave you numerous opportunities to exit this trade on that accumulation. When it started bouncing around the overnight low, you move the POC down. Which, by the way, they might be looking to extend that tail. That'd be about a 10-point tail extension, going down to 20. Yeah, it does, Scott. The only session that cannot be single prints is the A session. If you're using the cash profile, there is no session in front of the A session. So it's impossible to be single prints. You need a session in front and a session behind. All right, guys, I was hoping to catch this little leg down on stream here, but it's probably going to happen the second I turn the stream off. Just look for that leg down, possibly into 26. That would be probably the absolute place to close this trade finally, if you wanted to get out when it's going in your favor. And then the trail would just be above those 30-minute lows, back above 30 to 35. Very good trade if you guys caught that one. Maximum potential on that trade was 135 ticks. Quite a big P&L, obviously, on the big contracts. Nothing new about this trade. This is the same exact thing we cover pretty much every day. The How to Trade Sweeps video talks about it as well. So be sure to check that out if you guys are not sure what the hell we're talking about. And yeah, keep an eye on those single prints. Single prints going up to 55. If it does look for a bottom here, keep an eye on VWAP right before those single prints. So if you are targeting the single prints, watch VWAP. It might stall you. But yeah, I'll be streaming for the rest of the day in Discord. If you guys are in Discord, I'll see you guys there. If you guys are not in Discord, we do have a 40% off sale going on for the rest of the month. Code ATAS, ATAS for Discord. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. 9:30 in the morning for this stream, 8:30 in the morning for the pre-market stream. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Be sure to check out our stream partners. They're always in the description below. But here are the links if you want to check them out. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.